Good afternoon, boys and girls, and welcome to Module 4, Lesson 6. I have on my book a practice sheet. I'm not quite sure you have it in your workbook, but we're going to start measuring our angles using this practice sheet. So you're going to need your protractor and a pencil. And you are going to, let's start with angle D first. You'll see there are three angles, D, C, and E. We're going to start with D, and I'm going to take my target circle. You see this right here? There's the target circle where you line that up on the vertex of the angle. And then you have this line and this line to line up with the baseline of this angle. So put your target circle there. And there's also a baseline here at 0. You see that nice long line there? That is in the same line as these two lines here. So let's line up the vertex and those bottom. There we go. I think that's pretty good. Now, because this angle opens up this way, when I'm counting, I'm going to start with 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you see these numbers here, this is 170. I think they talked about that in another one of the videos. I wouldn't start at 1. I wouldn't start at 1 here. I would start over here on the inside numbers. Because 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. I wouldn't go 0, 170, 160, 150, 140. That is over on this side. If the angle were to open this way, I would start with these outside numbers, because then I would go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. But you still can use these small hash marks. They just correspond with the numbers that are on the inside. Okay? So if I follow this ray all the way up, I have two choices. I have 120 and I have 60. And because this is an acute angle, I know that this has to be less than 90 degrees, so my logical choice is 60 degrees. And besides that, I know that I can't start on this and measure this way to get to 120. So let's move down to angle C. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing with angle C. I'm going to take my target circle, line it up with the vertex of the angle, and make sure both this line and the 0 line match up with the sides of this angle, and follow that line up. And I can see that this one also lands at 60 and 120. And even though these lines are longer, I still measure this at 60 degrees. So the size of this and this are both 60 degrees. Now, if I take angle E, I'm going to notice that it is obtuse. Oh, let me bring my camera down. Angle E is obtuse. So I'm going to line up, it's going to be greater than 90. So I take my target circle, line it up with the vertex. I can't do this. I've got to make sure this line here, this part of the angle, lines up with my protractor. Those two lines, the 0 line and the guideline next to the target circle. And now, if I follow 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, blah, 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 90, I get out here and I am at 130 degrees or 50. Now remember, 50 would be if I were counting from 0 this way. 130 is if I'm counting from 0 this way. And because I know it's greater than 90 degrees, it is an obtuse angle. 130 makes perfect sense. So those are the practice sheets. Now, the good news is, for the problem set, you do not have to do question 2 because we do not have 3 different size protractors at home. That would be if we were in school and we had 3 different sizes to use. But I do want you to do 3, okay, A and B. And I want you to do all of one. There's 1, 2, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and J. Okay? So if I'm going to start at angle A, I'm going to, this is tricky for me because I can't rip out my page, but if I were to set my protractor on the vertex and line up, how am I going to measure this? I can take a guess, but a guess isn't really measuring. So what I want you to do is to take your straight edge and put it along this particular line segment and extend that line segment for a while so that you can get a good angle read on it. So line up that bottom line with your vertex, and I see, and you can get an approximation. I know this isn't going to be perfect science here. So I am between 30 and 40 if I read that line. And then if I go out to these lines and I can count 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. I get 37 degrees. Now take a look at B. Oh, B goes the other way. Now I don't turn my protractor around because then everything is backwards. That's why there is numbers going from 0 to 180 this way and 0 to 180 that way, so that it doesn't matter which way the angle is turning. So if I put my protractor down, once again, I cannot really get an accurate measurement. So take your straight edge and continue that line segment out. And now I see this is an acute angle, so, and I'm starting from this side, so I'm reading these outside numbers. And once again, I'm between the 30 and 40, and if I count 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, this time I get 36 degrees. I have a sneaking suspicion they're the same, and I'm just off by a little bit, but there is a margin for error when you're first starting out measuring these angles. That is acceptable. All right, let's do C together. C to me looks like it's going to be a right angle. So I'm going to extend this line segment out so that I can measure it more accurately. Doesn't help when your book is crooked. Sorry about the background noise. All right, now I'm going to line up the vertex and make sure that baseline is in line. And sure enough, look at that. It's right on the money, right on 90 degrees. All right, and let's take a look at D. I'm going to take this and extend it out so that it's easier to read. And this time I'm going to turn the book this way and put my, remember how Mr. Contreras said you can turn your paper so that it's easier to read? And sure enough, if I follow that line up, it's right at the 90-degree mark. So I have two that are very similar up here, probably the same. I just did it incorrectly. And I have two here, both 90 degrees. All right, I'm going to do a couple more with you, and then I'm going to let you finish the problem set on your own. I will post the answers to these problems, or at least what I get. All right, I'm going to do E and F, and then I'm going to let you do the rest. So I'm going to go ahead with my straight edge, and I'm going to extend one of those rays, or line segments, I'm not sure, so that I can read it better. Take your vertex of your angle, line it up in the target circle, follow it out, and I get, it's between 30 and 40, and I've got to start with the 30 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. I get 36 degrees here. And then let's see this angle. It's obtuse. So I am going to extend this line out nice and far so I can see it. And if I line up that target circle, actually I probably should extend this one too, because the way my notebook is, it's really hard to read. I'm going to line up. Sorry, boys and girls. I've got my target circle, and I'm lined up. I am, let's see. I'm not at 30, remember, because that would be if the angle opened this way. I am at an obtuse angle, and so I'm between 150 and 160, and if I count off the ticks, 151, 152, 153 degrees. Forgot to mention about that degree symbol. I know in some of the videos you've watched, they use it, and make sure that you are using it too. Okay, so my recommendation is to rip out this page when you're doing your problem set, and to give you an accurate measurement of your angles. All right, good luck, boys and girls.